Hello, hello. I'm Michelle, and this is the Bookkeeping with a Purpose podcast, the podcast for anyone wanting to learn church finances and how to serve the local church with excellence. I am a church finance consultant, and I am also an enrolled agent who specializes in minister taxes. I have had the honor of helping churches ensure compliance in all areas of their finances, as well as helping ministers with their unique tax status for the last decade. In this podcast, you are going to get the very best advice on how to properly handle all things church finances, payroll, and minister taxes, all with a healthy dose of Jesus. So grab a notebook and pen, my friend, to take some great notes, and let's do this. Hello, hello, and welcome back to the podcast. So today we're going to talk about the fun stuff. We're going to talk about what to expect when filing your year-end W-2's and 1099's. It is different this year. So even though you may say, I've been doing this for 20 years or for even just 3 years, it's different for this year. And the reason it's different is because beginning in January of 2024, the IRS has issued final regulations for filing paper returns. And you now have to file your W-2's and your 1099's electronically if you have only 10 or more forms. It used to be 250. They have changed it down to 10, so drastically. So it's not that hard, especially to get 10 1099's, or depending on how your flow goes, even these W-2's. But I'm going to walk you through some things that I would like for you to do to help to make this smoother for you, as well as tell you where to file these, okay? All right, so the first thing I want you to do is I want you to check your W-4 info. Okay, this is the federal tax form for your employees. And I want you to make sure that you have all the required information on all current and past employees from 2023, and then just update it if you need to, okay? This is also a good time to update the files. Hopefully you have an employee file for each employee with any new information or with missing info, including those I-9s. I know I've talked about this before, but there are many churches that don't realize you've got to have federal form I-9 on every employee, and you are required to do this from Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Justice. If they ever decide to do a pop inspection of your church and they want to see your employee files, you can have a very, very hefty fine if you do not have the I-9 form for each employee. And what that is, that just verifies that they are eligible to work in the United States, okay? So you want to go through, you want to check, you want to make sure you've got your W-4s, you want to make sure that you've got the correct Social Security number, you have the correct mailing address, and you have the correct name. Because where I'm going to tell you to file, it's going to know if that Social Security number matches that particular person's name, okay? So you want to make sure you've got all that information. Please don't wait till January to do this. If at all possible, get it done before year end, all right? So, like I said, you've got to file 10 or more. So W-2's, you can file through your software. If you use QuickBooks or any other payroll processing software, or even if you use third party, they can, file electronically through the software. Again, I have trust issues here, so I don't trust my software to file them, so I file them myself. And what I have been using since probably, I think 2012 is when I started using this, is I use the SSA, which is the Social Security Administration. And you go to SSA.gov/BSO, which is Business Services, okay? You're going to have to create a new login, even if you've been using this for years, because like I said, I've been using it for years, but I got an email, had to go through the process. Everything to do with the federal government this year has required you to create a login, a central login through either id.me or login.gov. I chose to do id.me, and again, that's the letter I, the letter D, and then a period, and then M-E. And everything I do, whether it's to check on my EA license, to renew my e-filing numbers, to pay 941 taxes, and even to do this through to file the W-2's, I use one central username and password. So you do have to prove who you are, your identity. And then you have to have a cell phone where they can send you a text, because they're going to want a code every single time you log into any of these sites. Okay. So the cool thing about this, though, is that it's totally free service. There's no fee for it. And I get confirmation as soon as I'm done telling me, hey, we have received your data. Okay. So you're going to have that time and date stamp on there that's going to make sure that you filed on time, because January 31st is the filing deadline for both W-2's and 1099's. Okay, so we don't ever want to be late, because again, we don't ever want to give the IRS any legal opportunity to charge us late penalties and interest, right? So go in and you're going to print these, and you have the option of either physically printing them out, or you can save as a PDF. I do both. I print these out to give to my church clients, to their employees, as well as I keep a PDF file so that if anything ever happens, or they lose it within the next couple of weeks, or an employee loses a copy of it and they need a copy, I've got that. Okay. So now that's going to take care of your employees. That's going to take care of your W-2s, okay? So you're going to make sure you've got all the required information. You're going to make sure it's current. You're going to make sure you're going to create or go through your employee files and make sure that you have your federal W-4. If your state has state withholding, you want to make sure you have a copy of whatever that state document is, all right? And then you need an I-9 in there, okay? So now let's move to your contractors. Independent contractors, again, you are required by the IRS, if you paid an independent contractor $600 or more for non-employee compensation, all right, you are going to issue them Form 1099-NEC, which stands for non-employee compensation, all right. You are required to file these. If you do not, you can be penalized, okay? So the way that I file my 1099s is through a website called track99.com. There is a fee for everyone, but it's reasonable, all right? The cool thing about this is that you can either email the forms if you've got your contractor's email address, or you can print them out and mail them, whichever is your preference there, all right? But in order to get ready for this, you need to make a list of all your contractors and make sure that you have the information needed, all right? So first of all, you should already have 1099s, or I'm sorry, not 1099s. You should already have the W-9s on file, okay? This is where you get their name, their address, and their identifying number, which is either going to be their EIN or their social security number, however they report their taxable income, all right? So you need to make a list of all these contractors. You need to make sure you have all the information on the W-9. I always tell my clients it is always easier to get that W-9 before you give them that first check, instead of trying to chase after them at the end of the year, because sometimes you are just not going to catch these puppies because they run way too fast, because they don't want to report it, all right? So make sure you make a list of your contractors. Again, anybody you paid $600 and more above, and these are contractors that are either sole proprietors or they are LLCs. Some states have LLCs. If they're just a regular LLC that are being taxed as disregarded entities, then you need to get those 1099s for them, okay? You do not have to issue 1099s to other nonprofits, to any other churches or nonprofit organizations that the church gave funds to. You do not have to issue 1099s to corporations. If you've got a business that at the end of it has comma INK or I'm sorry, INC or incorporated. You just need to, other than that, you assume that they are either just an individual or a single member LLC, and you're going to request the W-9 from them, okay? I'm a little bit more blunt than other people, okay? But basically, if I'm going to utilize your services and I'm going to pay you more than $600, you're going to give me a W-9 or you're not getting paid until I get that, okay? You are allowed to say that. Sometimes, for lack of better words, we just have to put on our big girl panties and say, hey, I am not being liable for you, okay? This is what the IRS requirements are. We are held to a higher standard because we represent Christ to this world, and we have to obey the taxing authorities, and this is what we got to do. So sign it, turn it in, you get paid, or we'll find somebody who wants to comply, all right? So, and I know that's easier said than done to some people, and it depends upon your personality, but seriously, people, you can get in a lot of trouble if you do not have these forms and if you do not report this income for them, okay? All right, so I wanted you to review. We're going to update and make sure we have our W-4 information correct. We are going to prepare the W-2 information, and again, go to SSA.gov/BSO. Create you a login account through either ID.me, which is what I used, or Login.gov. All right, free service. You get instant confirmation that they have accepted your returns, and you can print it out right then and there and be one and done. All right. And then you're going to make a list of all your contractors that you paid, again, which are non-corporations, non-other NPOs, nonprofit organizations, and not employees. Or, you know, you don't issue one to your utility company, but if, say, Brown Plumbing Service came and worked on the church bathrooms, and there's no INC after the end of the name, you need to make sure you hopefully have got that W-9, and you're going to issue them and mail them in a 1099. And also, you now need to be doing that if you pay rent, okay? You are required to issue a 1099 to your landlord. All right, so hopefully that was helpful. We want to make end of year as stress-free as possible. January is a very, very busy time. Because you've just got past the holidays, you've got past your busy socializing, you know, your Christmas cantatas and your children's Christmas plays and your ladies get together and your men's breakfast, and you're doing your delivery baskets and this and that and this and that, plus your personal family stuff, okay? So December is busy, but in January, it's like you just want to take a breath and go, okay, we made it through December, and then the IRS is like, okay, let's get going. We got things to get done here. I need this paperwork, and I need it by the end of the month. Okay, so I hope this was helpful to you. I get stressed out a little bit as the time gets closer to filing, but I like the preparation part because I have learned that I'm just an organization nerd. I have fun with it. I get excited and pumped up over organization, but I absolutely hate deadlines. So I always try to have everything done by the middle of the month versus waiting till the end of the month. All right. So hopefully you do too. But anyways, hope this was helpful. Thank you all so much for listening. I do greatly appreciate it. And remember to always strive to make an impact and not just an income. And remember to look your best, do your best, and be your best. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for listening today. If this podcast has inspired you or helped you in any way, please do me a couple favors. Number one, if you would leave me a review on Apple Podcasts, that would help me tremendously and more than you know in my rankings. And number two, share this with somebody who you think it could be helpful for. And until next week, I hope you have a blessed day. Bye-bye.